Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Our first story will tell you how two grown men decided they were better than the average waiter, end up paying 25% more in tips. If you're new here, join our channel. Here we go. Got what they asked for? Twice. I used to wait tables at an upscale restaurant that was known to be the place to have your holiday or office parties. Great money if you got the right group. The menus were preset, the wine and liquor was preset, and it was all auto-graded at 18%. All of it was in the contract the host signed pre-event. Usually, the host would make themselves known fairly early on so you'd know who to talk to if there was an issue and who to give the check to at the end of the night. One night, I'm splitting a party of 30 to 40 with another server. This event had top-tier food and mid-level wine and booze, very nice. A smaller group of 5 to 6 people arrive a bit ahead of schedule. 2 guys and 3 to 4 women. Not a problem. It's actually nicer if they slowly roll in so we can get drinks started. I walk over, introduce myself and the other waiter, and ask for drinks. Now, this was back in the early 2000s, and Chads weren't a thing yet, but the 2 guys were the chattiest Chads. If they could have popped their collars in their suits, I'm sure these guys would have found a way. Super Chad 1. Me and my bro are going to start with a round of Johnny Walker Blue, and these ladies are going to have expensive red wine. Super Chad 2, turning to the girls, once you have Johnny Blue, you just can't drink anything else. It changes you, bro. Me. Well, if you like, I can put those on a separate tab. The event contract has Johnny Walker Black, not Blue, and the red wine selection for tonight is less expensive wine. Super Chad 1, this is our party. Just get me what I ordered and don't question me again. Super Chad 2, what do you think you are? You're just some waiter. We have MBAs. Just get us our drinks. I walk over to the other waiter and tell him we're in for a hell of a night, but the check should be nice. For those that don't know, Johnny Walker Blue is 3 to 4 times the cost of Johnny Black. So one round of drinks for these people is over $100. The whole night goes exactly as we thought. Nothing was good enough. The appetizers were crap, the food was horrible, not enough bread, too many bread plates, drinks were taking too long. Why do some people have food and others don't? It's 40 people, man. It takes a minute to get that much food out. To make it worse, Chads and company are all over the place, moving seats and making others move so they can talk to who they want. This makes serving hell because we did everything by seat number. Surprisingly, most of the table was normal, not entitled people, and who knew waiters were people too. They were impressed by the food and graciously ordered the drinks that were in the contract. One older gentleman at the other end of the table from the Chads apologized for their behavior, saying, they might have fancy degrees and good jobs, but you can't teach class. Love that guy. Finally, they're winding down, and after drinking almost a full bottle of Johnny Blue, along with all the other food and drinks, they have a very hefty check, and the other waiter and I are excited to get paid. We start picking up the dessert plates and ask for last drink requests. The nice older guy at the end of the table says to bring him the check. Not wanting any more interaction with the Chads than necessary, I bring it to him. I tell him I can take care of it whenever and go about clearing the table. A few minutes later, he calls me over. Nice guy. Maybe there was a mistake in ringing up the drinks. There's almost $600 for Johnny Blue, when the contract I signed only included Johnny Black. And there are some single glasses of wine that are different from what we agreed upon. Me. No mistake, sir. That is what was ordered and drank. He's being awesome. I feel bad. Nice guy. Why did you give the drinks to them when we clearly had a contract? Me. I apologize, sir. They told me that it was their party, and since I was just the waiter, to shut up and do as I was told. So I did. I'm sorry, I took them at their word. I point them out and he calls them over. What follows was the singularly greatest butt-chewing I've ever been witness to. He goes on about how he was doing something nice, but apparently that wasn't enough, about how horrible their behavior was that night and how he's ashamed for them. But my favorite line was how you see a person's true colors and how they treat people that work for them, and they had shown theirs. Then he calls me back over. Nice guy. Apparently, I thought this was my party. I guess I was wrong. This is their party, and they'll be taking care of the check. Oh, and up the gratuity to 25%. You earned it. He turns around and walks off, leaving the Chads with the check. All in all, it was about $3,000. I've never seen 2 grown men look so defeated. And our next story. Dock my pay, lose yours. I work for a small company that repaired stained glass windows for churches, universities, government and historical buildings, domestically and abroad. Some high-profile jobs, too. Anyway, there weren't too many employees, some studio associates and 3 managers, one being myself, who oversaw different aspects of the operation. The owner, aka Drunk B, was an awful human being, constantly lying to customers, saying she needed to order replacement glass for the job which cost XXX dollars, but in reality, she would buy way cheaper materials or already have said material that had been sitting for decades unused. One day, she informed me that I had broken a piece of glass about 12 by 12 she valued at $500. This will be important shortly. It is in fact true that pieces of stained glass can run that much or even more, but I knew for a fact how much this piece cost because 2 weeks prior, she made me drive 6 hours round trip to pick it up. And I saw the effing invoice. A 3x3 sheet cost about $60. Cheap stuff. After picking it up, I drove it to the Drunk B's personal art studio at her house around 2 p.m. She was wasted, her teeth crimson with her crappy homemade wine. She gifted us a bottle for Christmas one year. It tasted like someone rubbed grapes on their sweaty butthole and stood over a bottle. Drip, 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 cork, gifts. I get off track. I apologize. So I show up. She's wasted midday, and she makes me unload a total of almost $5,000 of stained glass that she bought for the company into her personal art studio. She stumbles as she's showing me where to put it, and in the process messes up a setting that took about 2 months to place. Effing slob. 2 weeks later, she says I broke a piece of glass worth about $500, like I said earlier. She then informs me that I would be deducted the amount from my paycheck. She would miss paychecks like she missed her mouth after the second bottle of wine. So not only was I not getting my full paycheck, but it would almost definitely be days later when she decided to show up and hand us our checks. I wasn't going to let her get away with this, and I certainly wasn't going to quit before I could get my revenge. Lucky for me, we put the invoices in a wall folder for her to reconcile when she decides to stumble in. The invoice was still in the folder, so when she left for her siesta, I took it out, photocopied it, and put the original back. The next day, she showed up. 2 days in a row? Her wine cash must have been low. It happened every now and then. She hands me a paycheck minus $700. I knock on her office door and ask her, "Drunk B, my paycheck is $700 short. Do you know what happened?" "You broke a priceless piece of glass, PHB. I had to pay for it somehow." Here's where the revenge comes in. I manage the materials coming in and out of the shop. I know what we need, how much we use, what we use it for, and all orders for future materials for future jobs. Friday at 4:45, closing time is 5. Drunk B, what glass? "The XXX pane that you picked up." "There is no XXX pane here. The one you brought to my house." "Oh, I thought that was your personal material because if it was for the company and paid for using the company's money, you would have made me bring it here." "I work from home. That's why I made you bring it to my house." Drunk B, "Oh, okay. It's just that I know current jobs we have going on and all future jobs, and not one requires any of the materials you bought for the shop. How I spend my money isn't your concern." Actually, it's literally the definition of my job. Cue Monday morning. I don't show up because I know she isn't going to be there after a weekend bender. I call the Department of Labor and explain that I've been docked wages illegally and falsely. I then write the EPA and explain what I witnessed at her personal art studio, illegal handling and dumping of lead. Lead is what's used for stained glass windows. Then I write to the IRS and explain that she's using company funds for personal expenses. I walked in, told her I quit, found out she lost clients left and right because of the issues, tried to sell the company to the remaining employees to no avail, and eventually just closed shop. And our last story. I don't work here anymore. "Hey boss, got an opening?" Worked for a medical transportation company that had a contract with Medicaid. One of their many rules was that you could not provide any assistance to the patient inside of their house. One elderly lady had an old house with a very small foyer that you had to climb 3 steps to get to the main floor. The only other entrance was around back and up 2.5 flights of rickety steps to an old deck that opened into a bedroom. Upstairs, she's in a wheelchair. Common sense says take her in the front door, up 3 stairs, and she's home on the level she lives on. Medicaid says to take her up the outside stairs, dump her in the bedroom upstairs, and let her worry about getting down to the living room level. We ignored their policy and took her in the front door anyway. A random inspection by a random inspector showed that we were not in compliance. We appealed, the inspector came out and saw the different options and decided that we had no case for appeal. Take her up the outside stairs. Nope. From then on, when the driver arrived at her house, he would get her out of the van in the sidewalk, then get on the radio and tell the boss to shove his stupid job. Now that he was no longer an employee, he was free to assist this lovely person into her front door and up the stairs. Once finished, they'd come back to the van, tell the boss they'd reconsidered, and ask for their job back. Boss was always understanding and took them back, but very carefully noted the 10 to 15 minute break in their employment to show that the company remained in compliance. Aftermath. We had contests to see who could have the most dramatic I quit scene. Medicaid noted our activities, but couldn't put a handle on how to stop it. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.